Alright guys, Papa Pepper here. Felt like doing a vlog, but I figured I would just come out to a more scenic location just to give you guys a better backdrop so you got something else to look at besides my face. Anyway, recently just had a good visit with my dad, my mom, one of my aunts. But something kind of interesting struck me about my dad, Grandpa Pepper, when he was down. The one thing is, he was wearing a jacket at one point that was for a company that he used to work for, and man, I was thinking, like, that company hasn't been in existence since I was a child. I mean, they got bought out probably in the 80s. And I looked at my dad, I said, Dad, how old is that jacket? And now, mind you, this jacket, you know, it looked nice. It wasn't stained up, it wasn't ripped up, it looked nice. And he goes, well, this jacket, he goes, I think 35 years. I said, 35 years? He goes, yeah, I had to replace the zipper on it at some point, but you know, still works great, still looks good, you know, whatever. I'm like, wow. And first of all, you know, you can notice that he's the type of guy who, rather than throwing out a jacket, he just replaced the zipper. That's interesting enough. The other thing is I went to the bathroom at the hotel they were staying at, and I noticed there was a brush sitting there. And I always thought it was my mom's brush, you know, purple-handled brush with some bristles. And I remember, you know, being young, like at least in high school and stuff, and using it to brush my hair periodically. Now, for most of my adult life, I've had dreadlocks. This is my 6th set, you know, so there's a lot of brushing hair that doesn't happen. But I came out of the bathroom, I said, wow, Mom, you still got that, you know, that brush? And she said, well, actually, she says, when your dad left the farm, and he's one of 10 kids, he says he brought that with him when he moved out. It was actually one of his sisters, but they had a lot, and he really liked it. And I said, oh, interesting. I said, so how old is that thing? I said, about 45 years. I said, wow, 45-year-old brush. So the two things I want to point out is, one, what in the world was happening to jackets and brushes, you know, between 30 and 50 years ago, that they were built so well they could still exist today. I mean, seriously, how much junk is produced these days that you're lucky to get a couple years out of it, right? And the second thing is, consider that 45 years ago, my dad had a brush that worked just fine. And it was his sister's brush, you know, before then. And for the past, you know, 4.5 decades, he's been using that. For the past 3.5 decades, off and on, he's been using, you know, this jacket. And for me, like, man, it's not about the fancy things in life. It's not about, you know, other things. I'm not trying to make a living. I'm trying to live a life. I'm not trying to have a fancy house. It's just somewhere to exist, to sleep, to live my life, you know, my truck, right? There's a truck behind me somewhere over there. But that truck, it doesn't get me anywhere any less than an expensive vehicle. So my encouragement to you guys would be, if you ever produce anything, produce stuff that can last for decades even, so that whoever buys it, whoever the consumer is, can get blessed by it. And the second thing is, don't get caught up in the foolishness of this world that's gonna, you know, drain your wallet and, you know, eventually suck the life out of you, because you're gonna have to make all that extra money just to waste on things when you can find good quality, simple things that'll last. So just a little bit of what I've been contemplating lately. It runs into my own life a little pretty well, but I realize that there's probably an influence from my parents in that whole viewpoint as well. So, all right, guys, hopefully it's some good food for thought for you guys. Papa out.
As always, I'm Papa Pepper, and I'd like to remind you, don't post for free. If you'd like to be part of a revolution in social media, an economic power to the people where users can actually blog for cryptocurrency, then I'd recommend that you check out steemit.com and join the revolution. Papa out.